It ain't looking up. But speaking of looking down, if you look down, you will see the next contest. This was apparently a Texas tornado match for the reason that they were taping in the state of Texas. Did I miss? I know there's some backstory that happens on YouTube or on Dark, or somebody says something mean about somebody on Twitter. But have I missed any meaningful explanation as to why the two teams that have never faced each other before ever, including one team that has never teamed up with each other before ever, should jump into a Texas tornado match, all four guys in the ring, no disqualification, lazy booking?
Isn't it beyond lazy booking? Lazy booking is when you do a no DQ match in a program where the guys are actually doing something together. This is just out of nowhere.
Again, when fans with too much time and energy sit in their basements late at night in their teenage years and make up dream matches, this is kind of what you get.
Hey, can I say something?
Please do.
Not to take anything away from what Claudio could do in the ring. I like Moxley when he would come out with Kingston a lot better than when he would come out with Claudio. It fits so much better.
Well, they're the odd. They're Felix and Oscar. You know, there's Moxley spitting and smoking and bleeding about, and there's Claudio with a whisk broom and a fucking Swiffer trying to clean up after him because he's nice and polite. The whole Blackpool Combat Club thing doesn't work without Regal
because he's nice and polite. Maybe you should go write a song about a policeman.
Yeah, and these two have nothing to fucking in common with, but Moxley and Claudio are a team. And their opposition is the Latino superstar Rush and his partner,
Rush.
You know, you better check into that colonoscopy too. You've been having those spells here lately. And his partner was Preston Vance, who apparently, as far as I can remember, was the big goof wearing a mask with 10 written on his chest in Sharpie in the Dork order. I think that was him, right? They took his mask off, 4, 5, 6 months ago? We haven't seen him since.
I must have missed it because I just read a review somewhere that was talking about this match, and they said that he, I guess, took off his mask. There was some kind of angle with him and Brody Lee Jr., and I don't remember any of that. So I don't know what they did with him. But it
happened on YouTube or in somebody's home movies at their birthday party in the backyard. But nevertheless, so that's the match we're getting. A Texas tornado. It's not a Texas tornado death match, by the way. It's a Texas tornado match. As we know, Texas death match, falls don't count. No time limit, no disqualification. Match continues till one man can't answer the bell. A Texas tornado match is where all four can be in the ring at the same time.
It was a Texas Tornado tag team match. Do you need to call it a tag team match if it's a Texas Tornado match? Or should you?
No, because you can't have a Texas Tornado singles match by the nature of it, because both guys in a singles match are already all in the ring. So the idea of the tornado match from the dawn of time was that everybody in the match would be in together. There's no tags in and out. But even then, I've seen a bunch of those that weren't no DQ, because then you're putting a hat on a hat. But nevertheless, so Moxley is coming through the arena. They're playing Wild Thing. His entrances get longer, but since the alternative is his matches and everybody in the arena is singing Wild Thing, okay, I'll watch him walk around. It's more entertaining than watching him wrestle. But suddenly, Rush and Preston Vance attack Claudio and Moxley in the middle of the arena floor, and they start fighting in front of the bleachers. And at this point in time, we'll be right back. And they go to a break when the fight starts on the floor. But when we come back from the break, they're still on the floor. At least they're around the ring now. And as I wrote down, it's a Texas Tornado match, all four in the ring. Why? What happened to cause this stipulation? Who the fuck is Preston Vance? These are the things I was jotting down. And then I remember, Preston Vance. He was the 10 fella, not the 10 Woodsman. the tin guy. Tin horn is what he... Anyway, they started getting some heat on Moxley, and Vance looked confused, and Rush at one point wasn't paying any attention. And Vance had to go over and say, hey, come over here, let's do this spot we're trying to do. Moxley's trying to call shit from the corner. Claudio's on the floor somewhere. Then Claudio jumps back in and makes a comeback. And Moxley slides 2 chairs in the ring for no reason, and Claudio gets the chair and stands there holding it looking because Moxley didn't tell him what he wanted to do with the fucking chair. And Moxley chases the manager around the ring while Preston Vance is sitting there and staring at everything because he's lost as fuck. You could tell on his face. Nobody knows what the fuck was going on. It just, things happened. And then, did you see Moxley tried to give the old Fabulous Kangaroos boomerang to Rush into the barricade out on the floor? Did you see that spot?
I saw that spot. I saw how it ended.
Well, Mox doesn't know how to give it. Rush looked like he was trying to take it, but since Moxley didn't know how to give it, Rush, instead of going up and over and into the barricade, just kind of fell over sideways in a heap. What Moxley did was when you hook the fucking legs under your arms, the front of the guy's boots, his shins need to be under your arms. And you need to stand him up as straight on his head as possible before you start falling backwards. Because if your knees don't get above his ass cheeks, or below, I should say, since he's upside down, if your knees don't get to the small of his back, when you go backwards, he can't come up. You're bending his knees. You've got to get under his ass, not under his thighs. Moxley barely got under his thighs and started going before the guy was even set, and he squatted for a minute over Moxley like he looked like he was trying to take a shit on him in the woods, and then just fell over sideways because he couldn't get any more momentum up. Anyway, after he did that, Moxley got back in the ring, made sure he was facing the hard camera, flipped the double bird, and mouthed, "Fuck you." I would find this sorry sack of shit into the poorhouse if he... No, I wouldn't actually, because he wouldn't work for me to begin with. I would never hire this fucking guy. He's nothing but a detriment to their fucking television program in every way. So then they went all back to the floor, and the heels whacked Claudio with a chair and turned the table over with him underneath it, and they went to another break. And they, good God, this wouldn't end. And they came back. During the break, of course, Moxley now is bleeding like a stuck hog. At least he didn't do it on camera this week. So then old Preston Vance gets a logging chain. I mean, it was a chain match chain. It had to be 8 feet long, and it's huge lengths, and wraps it around his fist like they used to use the old dog choker chains. Wraps it around his fist and got on top of Moxley and started hitting him over and over with the fakest-looking pussy punches that were ever thrown in wrestling, to the point where I heard the fans start groaning. That wasn't a boo. It was an aw. And you can't do that anyway because, God, if you used a chain that big, it would break your hand as well as bust the guy's face open. But then Claudio came back in and he made a comeback and got the chain and he wrapped it around his fist. And even though it's still fake because it would have broke his hand, he threw some punches with that chain. It looked like Preston was trying to get away from it. And then Preston Vance gets color. So now, if blood was to have any impact in a major main event angle, which it usually does, and oftentimes when there's not blood in something like a major main event angle, there should be. But after everybody's seen it from some fucking job guy that's never going to fucking be featured again probably on this program, and this fucking balding, shit-looking motherfucker that bleeds every week. I'm so frazzled I can't form a cogent simile. He looks like a goddamn homeless bum under an overpass with his filthy clothes and his rude demeanor and his balding head and his lack of any physique whatsoever. And he thinks he's goddamn a cross between Terry Funk and Bruiser Brody. And he bleeds every fucking week. And the girls bleed. I can't wait for an announcer to bleed. Now they're just all, everybody on this program and everybody on this roster is just cutting their head for the sake of doing it. Because it means nothing, because everybody does it. Even in shit that means nada, like this match. And then after that, everybody hit everybody. And then everything came to a halt. And then they got in a four-way. And then the manager, Jose, just came in and hit Claudio with a chair. And then here comes Wheeler Useless, and he jumps on Jose, the manager. And guess what they did, Brian? Do you remember what they did? Do you remember?
They fought off.
They fought off. And I wrote, will this ever end? And I started fast-forwarding at that point, and finally Moxley tapped out. Surprise, surprise, wouldn't you know who won the pony? Preston Vance. And again, I wrote the jeans, the torn T-shirt, the bald head, the bloody face, the frumpy boots, the homeless bum, the potty mouth. He's got Tourette's syndrome when he gets on television. And then in the back, while the baby faces allegedly are standing there to the indifference of the crowd, the Butcher and the Baker attack Hangnail Adam Page, who was watching this match on the monitor because he's still very upset at Jon Moxley. Very upset. Only I think there's going to be a fight in the locker room between Moxley and Page. And then the Dork Order come out in the pre-tape and run the Butcher and the Baker off, and then they go back to the ring where Moxley is still standing in the ring flipping birds to the camera and imagining and fantasizing and pleasuring himself that he, in his mind, that he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Your thoughts?
I think Moxley sucks. And I've said that for a while. He's my least favorite guy in AEW. His matches are terrible. He bleeds all the time for no reason. Who's had it easier in AEW than him? Doesn't have to get a physique, gets his wife a job, gets Tony to hire other friends like Saraya, doesn't have to put in any effort seemingly at times.
Gets time off in the middle of a major main event run because he has to modify his personal behavior.
Hey, that I don't have a problem with. If he has a real problem and he needs to do something, do it. But I also remember hearing that he was going to take a vacation and he didn't because of All Out. You know what? Take a vacation. Take a vacation. Get off TV already. Let's stop talking about Moxley, because you know how I feel and you feel the same.
All right.
What the fuck is the Blackpool Combat Club at this point? I'm being very serious. Is Danielson a member still? Is Yuta the Brandon Cutler? Like, what is the Blackpool Combat Club? And no one is from Blackpool.
You know what they need to do? They need to bring Pip Sabian in and make him the coach of the thing and change it to the Liverpool Combat Club.
Is he from Liverpool?
I don't know, but who cares? Who knows? Who knows where he's from? His own mother doesn't know which womb he came out of. How would anybody be able to say, well, you're lying, he's from Manchester?
Now, can I say one more thing? Whatever we think of Moxley, AEW fans, by and large, at least the ones in the arenas, have really liked him.
I think they like the song more these days.
I think there's a lot of wrestlers you could say that about. But like everyone else, does Moxley seem as big, as over, as popular, as special today as he did a couple of years ago?
No, he's been put in a group, and the group was unfocused and then lost its mentor, and then he was put in a rivalry with another babyface, alleged babyface, but still acts like an asshole to them. But fortunately, that other babyface, Page, is nowhere near a strong babyface, so he's a weasel, and people can pick sides against him also, but it just confuses the issue, and then all they want to do is cripple each other. So, boy, I want my kids looking up to heroes like that. So he's been marginalized, trivialized, and taken the bloom off of him by being booked like a fucking idiot like everybody else on this roster.
Hey, I think part of it's Tony, but part of it's Moxley. Moxley's one of those guys that gets a lot of his input. Tony listens to him. This is Moxley.
Remember, we've said he thinks this is good.
It's not good. It's terrible.
I know, but he thinks it's good, so he's on board with it.
He's one of these guys
he's an idiot.
He needs WWE supervision. He needs them to say, here's what you're going to say, and here's what you're going to do.
I think he needs an ankle bracelet at this point, Moxley, much less a supervision. But moving on with the program.